I would imagine that taking a book, a novel, and trying to adapt it for film is really difficult. You see, a novel has the luxury of being written with a whole lot of words that can describe numerous characters, emotions, actions, places, anything the writer dreams up. But films are much harder to make. They require a budget. The novelist's budget is infinite. It's as big as they can imagine. And yet, in real life, for a film, a budget has to factor in things like props and actors, a crew, cameras, sound equipment, wardrobe. And we could go on and on listing things, but that's not what this video is about. Yet, adaptations of books have been around since the earliest days of the cinema. Just because they're difficult didn't mean people didn't do them. You see, there's multiple types of adaptations. There are those that are so faithful to their source material that the film suffers. It just doesn't turn out very good. And there are some that are not faithful at all, and the film suffers and turns out not very good. And there are adaptations that are entirely faithful to the book. They take dialogue as much as possible from the book. They add almost nothing and cut almost nothing, and somehow they manage to film the book. And there are some adaptations that change things, but it works well. They change only what is necessary to make the story work as a film. Disney's Something Wicked This Way Comes is one of those adaptations. The kind that changes something, changes many things, but it makes it work as a film. And in this particular adaptation, Something Wicked This Way Comes, it was made in a time before Disney was Disney. Before it was the monolith, the juggernaut, the villain, the hero, and everything in between. When Disney struggled to remain independent. Disney had been an independent company for its entire existence. It was an outsider. It may be strange to us today to think of Disney being that way. With its prominent place in Hollywood, with its blockbusters and its control of seemingly everything. But when this film was made, it was made in a troubled period of Disney history, but an important period of Disney history. This was a time when Disney was truly free. They made things that they may have never made. Dark films, creative films, films that though they may not have reached the heights of other periods of Disney's history, nonetheless are important and worth exploring. Something Wicked This Way Comes is one of Disney's strangest films. It's a film that my wife said she would never have guessed was a Disney film. Of course, it's probably the greatest and most well-made adaptation of a work from an American literary master, Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury's book is a coming-of-age tale of two boys who long to be grown up, and their fathers, an absent one and a present one, of heroism and of cowardice and friendship, of dark, sinister forces changing lives forever. Bradbury was a master of the eerie, the off-putting. His work evokes the American tradition of Hawthorne, of the New England ghost stories like Rip Van Winkle or Young Goodman Brown or Sleepy Hollow. It is quintessentially American, small-town Americana. In a sense, it is a perfect film for Disney, a company formed by a man that prided himself as being from that small town of Marceline. And yet the dark nature, the strange eeriness, the off-kilter feeling of the film makes it seem so foreign to our vision of Disney. It's not quite The Absent-Minded Professor or Mary Poppins. Instead, it is a tale of the dark side of humanity, the sinful side of humanity, the selfish, the vain, the seedy underbelly of everyone. This is not Pollyanna. This hardly seems like Disney at all, and yet, of course, it is. The adaptation is one of change, of molding and crafting a screenplay that works as a film, and yet shares the themes and the message and the feeling of the original source material. It is an adaptation that breathes and exudes atmosphere, one that deserves and yearns to be watched and savored. one that pushes those who watch it to say, "What the hell happened, Disney? Where are these films? Where is the eerie and the scary and the experimental and important and the not-so-tame films you used to make? Why have you become the sanitized, the correct, the controlled? When will the rare and the exceptional and the gifted and the wild and the free films be made again? When will the days of autumn return to filmmaking? When will the message of the ages, the bravery of men, the innocence of boys, the timelessness return?"
Explosion! Fly Fox!